This is meditation for lawyers. It is not mediation for lawyers. So if any of you were signing up today to get credits to be a mediator, sorry to disappoint you. However, we invite you and hope you can stay and join us. Also, for the few of you who may have thought you were signing up to medication for lawyers, I'm sorry, we don't have any medication to dispense this morning. However, by the end of the hour, you might feel that we've produced a few endorphins. I want to thank you, number one, for attending and taking time out of your busy day to do this. I also want to thank Will Nickel, who is my technical person and an assistant in these endeavors, without whom I couldn't be doing this. So the goal today is, number one, to relax and enjoy yourself. This shouldn't be a task or something difficult. You've devoted this hour. There's nothing really you need to do, but just sit back and relax. I hope at the end of the hour that you'll be able to meditate on your own. You will have learned enough to meditate on your own and establish your own meditation practice. We have a 1-hour webcast. We'll devote about the last 10 minutes to questions, and if there are any pressing questions before that, feel free to ask them. Now, this is a new format for us, as you might have determined for us. Our last webcast had no visuals, so you can see and hear me. And I want to assure you that my desk back here usually has stacks of files and is cluttered. It's all on the floor now, so my desk does look like yours, I'm sure, most of the time. You can see and hear me. I can't see, nor can any of the other attendees see or hear you without your permission. Now, there's a number of ways to ask questions and communicate during the webcast. The first is there's a chat room for technical questions. So if there is anything procedural, technical, will be monitoring the chat room. So for instance, if the volume is good or you've lost a picture or you're having some sort of difficulty, please ask that type of question in the chat room. There's a Q&A icon to ask questions. And in the Q&A icon, you can ask written questions. And we'll take a look at the written questions and answer them. You can also ask a question verbally, and you'll see you should have an icon there to raise your, it's a hand. Just click on that, and you'll be able to ask a question through audio. And of course, you have to have a mic. And if you'd like to be on camera too, and we'd be happy to see you, and your colleagues, I'm sure, would be happy to see you as well, we can put you on camera while you ask your question as well. So basically, chat room for technical questions, the Q&A for written questions. Raise your hand if you want to ask a question verbally or you'd like to appear on camera. Now, our format today is, and I want to get this clear, we're not going to just sit down and be silent for 45 minutes. We're going to have meditation segments, each of them about 5 or 6 minutes long. And we'll probably have 4 or 5 of them during the webcast today. The meditation segments will be preceded by some instruction. And during the meditation segments, I might give further instruction or ask a question as a pointer for you. Those type of questions, you don't need to feel that I need an answer or anyone needs an answer. It's just a pointer for you to look a little deeper or in a different way in the meditation. Your questions, by the way, I would suggest if you're going to write a question or you want to ask a question, do it during a break rather than the meditation segment. There was one question that was asked before our last seminar, which was a good one. I'll answer that now. Is who is suited to meditation? Do you have to be a particular age or of a religious persuasion, gender, personality type to be able to meditate? And the answer is absolutely not. It's egalitarian like poker. You know, if you play poker, the only requirement to sit down at a table with the world's best poker players is money. And here our currency is interest. Anyone who's interested in meditation is perfectly suitable to do meditation. Now, a couple more technical things before we start. If we don't have time to answer all the questions, and I'll let you know when the hour is up for those who have other things that they have to go on to today. We'll stay longer if there are more questions and answer your questions and answers. But if we can't do all of them during the webcast, I will send an email out to you all and answer the questions later on by email. So for your hour today, really devote this time for yourself. I recommend, to the extent you can, turn off your cell phone, hold your calls. If you're in an office, ask your assistant not to disturb you. If you have a wonderful coal-fired pizza or sub sandwich, put it aside and eat it an hour from now. I think you'll make it through. Just give yourself as much quiet time and undisturbed time as you can. Now, as to your posture for meditation, and I'm talking about your physical posture, not an inner attitude, I recommend sitting. You can meditate lying down, but our bodies are so tied into the fact that lying down needs sleep, it's easy to drift off. So I recommend sitting, being in a comfortable position. Keep your spine erect if you can. With your hands, just put them on your lap or fold your hands if you want to, whatever is easy for you. Keep your eyes closed. Now, you can meditate with your eyes open, but I really recommend starting out closing your eyes during the meditation because it minimizes external distraction. And you want to have a relaxed attention. You don't want to be too relaxed because you can tend to drift off and daydream, but you don't want to be over attentive and become tense or edgy. It's like the lens of a camera. If you're focusing it, you can be over focused or under focused. With your attention, you just want to find that sweet spot where you're relaxed but attentive. I'm not going to talk much about why to meditate. The bar has had a wellness campaign going on for quite a while now, but we're here to meditate. It's like learning how to ride a bicycle. You can read books about it and people can tell you what it's like, but until you get on, you really can't do it. But I will tell you this. I've meditated on a daily basis most of my adult life, and I have handled very complex litigation, very, very challenging litigation, and it works. Meditation is an effective way to, an effective tool to manage stress, and also a tool for self-reflection. And the thing about that is, in any practice, you don't want to start digging the well when your house is on fire. I was very happy that I had an established meditation practice when I got into very, very trying legal situations. And of course, it's not just the law. I mean, life, death, illness, divorce, we all know what that's like, and that presents those same types of stressors. Okay, before we go in, I know I've been talking quite a bit, but I wanted to get most of this under our belt. This is about your direct experience. You know what your experience is. So this is not what anyone else has told you meditation should be. It's not what you learned. It's not what you believed. Just be a scientist. Be open to the facts. Be open to your own experience and trust your own experience. This is your time. You've dedicated it for yourself, and so make the most of it. What we're going to do now, just to start out, is just have a simple body relaxation. So close your eyes. And just notice the difference for a moment between all that talking and just a few moments of silence. You may feel your heart beating, a rhythmic sensation in your chest. Just notice it. It might be fast, it might be slow. There's no need to change it, modify it, alter it, comment about it. It's just there. You notice your heart beating. And feel the sensation of the soles of your feet on the floor. It's just a bodily sensation. Might notice that just by noticing that, some of the muscles in your calves, your ankles just relax, unwind. Just feel that sensation on the soles of your feet. Now, wherever your hands are, whether you're there in your lap or by your side, feel the sensation of the air touching the palms of your hand, the back of your hand, it may be cool, it may tingle a little bit, it may pulsate a little bit. You may hear sounds. It's just like, let them be. You don't need to know what they are, how long they'll last. They're just like the bodily sensations. They're there, you experience them. And notice your breath. As you breathe in and breathe out, do you notice the sensation of your abdomen rising, then falling? Or perhaps the feeling of your ribs expanding a little bit and contracting. You may feel the sensation of the air entering into the nostrils. Is there a little bit of coolness there as the air enters in and then enters it out? You might feel a little sensation, above your lip. Take a look again at your heart beating. Again, nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just here. Is it slowed, the heartbeat? Is it the same? And just take a moment to feel what it is to be relaxed. And then slowly, when you're ready, open your eyes. It's interesting that we took 5-6 minutes just to pay attention to what was happening in the body and how different you feel or may feel. And if you don't, that's okay. But how different you feel before and after by just paying attention in kind of a disinterested way, a non-judgmental way. So I want to talk a little bit now before our next segment about what it is, why we're interested in meditation. And I came up with this word, is we're interested in this. We're looking for authenticity. We value authenticity. And why do we value it? Well, if you've made an argument to a jury, as I have, and many of you have, you know it's awfully hard to put one past a jury. Their collective wisdom values authenticity. They know who is being straight with them and who is not. And inherent in authenticity is an interest in the truth. And we might call authenticity being who you are, not pretending to be something else. And there's a relief, and there's an inherent relief and relaxation in authenticity. Because you don't have to do anything to be yourself. You just are yourself. You don't have to fake anything. You don't have to pretend. There's no pretense. And when you're authentic. And I like to call pretense the preamble to tension. And when you're in pretense, when you're pretending, number one, you have to expend more energy to pretend to be something that you're not. And with that, there's a insecurity, a fear or anxiety of being discovered, to be projecting what you're really not. I remember when I first started practicing law, a number of attorneys mentioned to me. It's really hard being a lawyer because I have to put on my lawyer jacket or my lawyer face or demeanor. And that surprised me because I never felt that I was any different being a lawyer than not being a lawyer. And that's not to say, by the way, that there's anything wrong with assuming a role. We all do it. We're parents, we're children, we're community activists, we're lawyers. We put on a number of jackets in our day. The difference is in role playing, if you believe yourself to be that, you're in pretense and there's that underlying anxiety. If you just have fun playing a role and you know who you really are, you're authentic, you can play a role and be authentic at the same time. And if you look at our culture, our society, you can see the value we place on authenticity. As Shakespeare said, excuse me, to thine own self be true, which I believe is from Hamlet and Polonius giving advice to his son Laertes. In the common vernacular, it's get real. So what is real? That's what we're interested in here. Not what comes and goes, but what's real, who we really are. That's what we're interested in meditation. And I'm going to you can give many definitions of reality or real, but I'll give you two. One, that which cannot not exist, which is, an old ancient philosopher said that, not me. And another one, which is a more practical one, is that which doesn't change. So is there anything that is always there and doesn't change? Well, in our next meditation segment, what we're going to do is explore that which does change. And what changes are three things. There are thoughts. Our thoughts are constantly fluctuating, bodily sensations, and sense perceptions. Bodily sensations are the sensation of your feet against the floor, the sensation of your abdomen rising, and of course, sense perceptions are hearing and seeing and the realm that we take in through the senses from what we call the outside world. But those are all changing, and in this meditation now, we're just going to become a little bit more familiar with what does change. And if you find anything else in there besides thoughts, bodily sensations, and sense perceptions, let me know. I've looked for a long time and I don't think there's anything else that changes other than those, but let me know. So close your eyes a moment. Or close your eyes. Let your body sink into the chair. You can feel your feet on the ground. Okay, I hear something outside. Somebody is operating a piece of equipment. That's hearing, sense perception. I feel these, again, my soles on the ground, bodily sensation. You may have a thought. wow, I like this seminar, or my God, why did I ever do this? Thoughts. I can hear his voice, I can hear his voice, sense perception, hearing. Just relax and kind of fall back a little bit, metaphorically speaking. Allow yourself to expand. Let those thoughts, sense perceptions, bodily sensations arise, be here, and then go. You notice they don't stay around too long. Where were they before they arose? Where was that thought before it arose? Where does it go after it leaves? Imagine we'll call these objects or appearances. Imagine they're like fireworks. You're at a fireworks celebration, it's dark, and they explode, they're light, they're bright, and then they fade away, they're gone. Ah, I just had a thought of a picture of fireworks. It's here, it's gone. Just let those objects, those appearances arise, do what they will, and fade away. You have a thought. I wonder how long this segment's going to last. It's just a thought. The heat or air conditioning came on. It's just a sense perception. I feel my butt against the seat. It's just a bodily sensation. Let them all float. Let them all float through you. It's like all those objects and appearances are fish swimming through the water in an aquarium. Different colors, different shapes, different movements. What you are now is the water in which the fish are swimming through. If you feel a bodily sensation, let's say some tension around your eyes or your forehead, just let that be. Imagine yourself, the space behind the body, above, in front, below. Just sensations, just thoughts, just sense perceptions. Constant stream of them, coming, going, changing, arising, disappearing. It's like clouds in the sky. They come and go, form, morph, constantly moving within the backdrop of the sky. Just for this moment, be the sky. No need to change anything. No need to do anything. Okay, and then slowly open your eyes. So some of you may guess where we're going next. And what we're interested in what's real, which is we're not particularly interested in those bodily sensations, sense perceptions, or thoughts. We're not interested in what comes and goes. We're interested in that which doesn't change. And so for the purpose of discussion today, we'll give it a name. And because otherwise, how could we, in our linear world, discuss it? It reminds me of of something I heard about questions about science that was asked of 4th and 5th graders. And a young boy was asked, "What's a vacuum?" And he answered, "Well, a vacuum is nothing. We just give it a name so it knows that we know it's there." So the name that we're going to give to the backdrop in which these changing objects occur is awareness. And you could give it other names. You could call it presence, or I suppose you could give it mystical names if you want to, but it's awareness. That there is something that is aware that thought arose, existed, and passed away. So that awareness or that knowingness is what we're interested in today. And what we want to explore in our next segment is this. Does that awareness ever change? Is it always there? What are the characteristics of that awareness? So there are a couple of practical things that we can adopt, and I'll call this an internal posture, which makes it easier to investigate, explore that awareness, experience it. And one is an attitude of non-interference. So when I've been saying before in the meditation, there's nothing to do, there's nothing to change, there's nothing to alter, that's kind of a prelude to non-interference. But specifically, how do we interfere with the objects and appearances that come before us? One is judgment, comment. I mean, we have an opinion about everything. And so you might say, okay, but we judge and comment all the time. How would I not do that? You really don't have to try not to do that. If you notice there's a judgment, you have a physical sensation and you say, wow, that's, I hope that doesn't last very long, or gee, that feels a little this or that. Just notice it. You don't have to judge your judgment, and you don't have to comment on the comment. Again, this is not a test. You can't do this wrong. Just develop a attitude of non-interference. I'm not going to, I have no interest in judging. And if judgment comes up, you have no interest in judging the judging or commenting on the comment. Now, another way we interfere is like and dislike. I like that thought, I don't like this thought. I like this sensation, I don't like that sensation. I like this sound, I don't like this sound. So if that occurs, just notice it. Another way we interfere is projecting into the past or the future. You have a pain in your shoulder and say, oh my God, I had that yesterday, or I hope that doesn't last till tomorrow. I have to play tennis tomorrow. That's projecting into the future, going back to the past. That's another way we habitually interfere with what occurs. So non-interference allows the activity of our thoughts. And when we looked at our thoughts, our sensations, the objects of appearance, boy, they're moving around. They're moving around quickly. It's like sediment in a glass. The only way to let the sediment settle to do nothing is to not interfere with it. If you put a spoon in and try to push down the sediment in the glass, or whatever's mixed up in the glass, it only makes it worse. So in non-interference, most of our minds look like the jar to the left. But as we start to adopt that attitude of non-interference, the sediment starts to settle, and eventually, when it does settle, you notice that there's a clarity. You can see in a clearer way. So I'm just, again, giving you these pointers. One way to explore experience awareness is through non-interference. The other way is by welcoming. And I'll call welcoming benign indifference. And what does that mean? It means that whatever comes up, you don't try to push away. It's just here. It's like a mirror. Whatever object you put in front of the mirror says, boy, I really like reflecting this one. I don't like reflecting this one. The mirror just reflects whatever's put in front of it. It's like a TV screen. In a TV screen, whether you're watching a romantic comedy or a beautiful scene of nature or bombs blowing up, the screen doesn't care. The screen has no interest one way or another what appears on it. It's receptive to all. So in our next segment, what we're going to be interested in is that which is aware of the objects that arise and then disappear. We're going to try to rest in that awareness, in that knowing, as the contents of the screen move by. So.
Hi, George.
Yes.
One quick note. Can we get you to just speak up slightly during the next meditation? We've had a note that one person is having difficulty hearing you during the meditation.
Got it. All right, close your eyes. Again, sink into the body. In this internal posture, in this experiment, we don't really care what arises, what passes, what the thought is, what the sensation is. Everything is welcome, nothing is rejected. I hear the sound of a plane. You may hear something. What is it that knows the sound? Just be that knowingness, that awareness. That sound is known. That thought is known. You are aware of this physical sensation. If your thoughts are busy, busyness is like that. Busyness is like this. What is it that is aware that your thoughts are busy? What is it that is the space or screen or mirror in which all these appearances seem to be seen and known? Now focus for a moment on a physical sensation. Let's say the soles of the feet on your floor, on the floor. And that is known, you're aware of that. Now become aware of a sound, a sense perception. And ask yourself the question, is the awareness that's aware of the physical sensation and the awareness that's aware of the sound different? Is there a place of awareness that is located in different areas? Or is it one awareness, one undifferentiated awareness that is aware of the sound, the sensation, the thought? Now ask yourself, does this awareness have a boundary? Can you find a place where this awareness does not exist? Is it everywhere? Does it occupy a physical space? Look hard, inquire. In your experience right now, is there a place where this awareness doesn't exist? Does this awareness have a color? And certainly what appears within it has a color, has different colors. Does the awareness have a color? Does the awareness have a shape or a size? Be the awareness, be the sky, be the screen in which all these appearances are occurring. Does that awareness have a religion? Does it have a belief? Now, that which knows my words, there's something that knows, is aware of my words, that which really and ultimately knows. Does it have a gender? Do you have to do anything to be that awareness? Okay, slowly open your eyes. We have time for, I think, one more short segment. And then I think we only have, let me see. I think we have one question. And so we'll do one more short segment and then open it for questions, answers, sharings as well. If anyone would like to share any of your experience today, please do so. This is a little bit of a contrived exercise, but it works, it helps. It's just another tool in the toolbox. And in this one, we're going to imagine that awareness is a little bird. And the object or goal, which I'm sure most of us are, if we're lawyers, type A people, the object or goal is to keep the bird in flight. So we want to keep the awareness free floating. Now, what will happen is, if you have a sensation, a thought, an object that your attention becomes fixed on, imagine the little bird lands on that object. And as soon as the bird lands on it, we want it to take off again. Don't linger on the object. And if the bird starts walking around and pecking around or something like that, it might, if it's a really attractive object or engages our attention. But it's just a useful tool to let go of the object and put the bird back in flight. So we'll do that for, well, maybe 2-3 minutes and then open it up for questions. Okay, you're doing really good. You're hanging in there. Okay. Be relaxed. Close your eyes. Just really, really sink into the body. No resistance to the body, no tension. Whatever bodily sensations are there, just let them be there. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. In fact, even just raise your arms a little bit. Give yourself a stretch. We've been sitting for a long time. Sorry, we should have taken a little stretch break earlier. Again, sink into that awareness, that knowingness, that space, for lack of another word, in which all things appear. And imagine that awareness is flying. It's a little bird flying, just remaining in the air. I feel the sensation in the gut. No, it's not that interesting. The bird just kind of takes a look from above and keeps on flying. I had a thought, what'll I be doing the rest of the afternoon? Bird's not interested in that. It's just flying. It's just flying. Now, if there's anything that just really captures your attention, imagine that bird has landed on the object. And instead of letting it poke around and walk around and explore, just put it in flight again. Just put it in flight. Just take off from that object. Allow the awareness to be free floating. Not to say that objects aren't interesting. Sure they are. But that's not what we're interested in right now. That awareness has nothing to do, nowhere to go. Keep that bird in flight. Don't let it get distracted or absorbed in any thoughts, sensations, sense perceptions. Okay. Okay, open your eyes. We have a few minutes left. I know we have one question here. I'm going to take the first question from Donna. And Donna, would you like to ask your question yourself and make it an audio question, or appear on your video? If you do, I'll give you a second to raise your hand. But if not, I'll go ahead. Donna asks, how do you put aside the feeling that you do have places to go and things to do? I'd say the first thing is, what is it that you're actually experiencing it? You use the word feeling. Put aside the feeling that you have places to go and things to do. Is that I would call a feeling a bodily sensation. A bodily sensation in and of itself doesn't give you a message that you have things to do now or places to go. That bodily sensation may be accompanied by a thought, and certainly a thought says, wow, I have to pay my utility bill or it's going to be shut off today. When you're meditating, for the time, the half hour or 20 minutes that you've set aside to meditate, you don't have to do anything. So first acknowledge that there's nothing you have to do in the next 20 minutes or half hour. And I would look closely at that feeling. Is it a bodily sensation? If it is, just look at the sensation, acknowledge the bodily sensation and let it come and go. If it's a thought, just say, hey, it's a thought. It's a thought that comes and go. I wouldn't place any particular importance on it. So I would look to see what it is first. Is it a sensation? Is it a thought? Is it a combination of the two? And just notice it, and then move on from there. And so we'll just call it a distraction. When you're meditating, we're going to have a lot of distractions come up. Sometimes you'll be hooked into them, and then you'll realize, hey, I've been hooked into this distraction, or I've been daydreaming, and you come back and you're feeling aware, and you say, wow, now I'm aware again. Isn't that great? But the more you do this, the more that you do this, you'll find that those sensations, those thoughts become less and less distracting. Okay, Daniela asks, do you recommend guided meditations? Also, how long should we meditate for? Well, somebody might call this today a guided meditation or a little instruction in meditation. Personally, I meditate in silence. I find guided meditations usually distracting, or sometimes, though, they're beneficial if they can give you new information. I would say, Daniela, do what works for you, and try it both ways. Now, how long should you meditate? I think it's great if you really want to establish this and reap some of the benefits of meditation practice. I would start by giving it at a minimum 10-15 minutes a day, every day for a month, and see what happens. Now, if you can do 20 minutes, that's great. Another thing is that what is really important is, and we talked about this, your interest. You may be meditating and your interest is maintained. Just keep meditating as long as you can. Now, if you're not interested, and by that I don't mean, oh, I'm distracted and so I'll follow my distracting. But if you just truly don't have the interest, this is not for everyone at a particular point in somebody's life. If you're not interested, then really don't do it. You don't want it to become a chore or something rote, or really a practice in that sense. You want to do it because you're enthused and you're interested in it. But I would try it at a minimum 10 to 15 minutes a day for 30 days and see what happens. How does this style of meditation differ from TM? I'm not particularly familiar with TM. I never took a TM class, but based upon my understanding of TM, that you are reciting or listening to a mantra. Now, there are a type of meditations. For years, I did a Buddhist meditation called Vipassana. And I've done meditations that focus on the breath, the sensation of the air going in and out of the nostrils. This meditation is different in that those other meditation, you're focusing in on an object, whether it's a sound, a phrase, a sensation, you're focusing in on objects. This is different, is that we're not particularly interested in objects. We're interested in that which is aware of objects. We're not interested in what comes and goes, but is always there. So this is a meditation on awareness itself. Okay, it is 1 o'clock, so I'm going to take I'm just going to give you a little final information, and then anyone who wants to stay longer, I'll be happy to answer more questions. You can contact me with any questions. You have my phone number, you have my email, on meditationforlawyers.org, our website. There are many, many questions and answers there. There's an article. But feel free to contact me and utilize the resources of the website. This is, Meditation for Lawyers is accredited for 3 CLE credits. So you can take this again, another webinar, an hour webinar. If you are a member of a group or an organization, and you think your group would benefit from it, you're an assistant state attorney, a public defender, you work for a governmental entity, I'd be happy to talk to you about coming there and doing something in-house for your organization, and we can do that for 1, 2, or 3 hours. And I believe this is recorded. If you're going to have access to this and listen to it again, we'll let you know. But I'm not sure of that. So anyone?
Yes, it is recorded.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
And also, the CLE course number, are we going to email them afterwards with that, right?
Yeah, we'll give you that afterwards. And so all you have to do is go online and enter that. So for those who have to go, thank you for attending. And for those who want to hang on and listen to some more questions and answers, we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, an anonymous attendee asks, do you have a checklist or series of steps to follow in one's meditation sequence? And how much time should one devote to a meditation session? I don't have a checklist or series of steps, but what happens when I sit down, sometimes I'll sit down and plop. I feel that I'm very centered. I feel that I'm experiencing awareness and the objects really are in the background. Other times I sit down and all I seem to experience is being inundated by objects. And in those situations, there are a couple things. There are a couple things that I do that kind of lessens the noise fairly quickly. One is to acknowledge what's going on. And if I sit down and I just feel confused, I say something to myself like, confusion is like this, or agitation is like this, which kind of, for me, works to come out of that distraction. Another thing I might ask myself is, what is it that is aware of confusion? Or who is it that is confused? And those questions are pointers that lead you back to knowingness or awareness. So I can't say I have a checklist, but I do have certain tools, having meditated for many, many years, of course, that allow me to have the distraction just do what it wants without being distracting anymore. And how much time should one devote to a meditation session? We talked about that before, and that is depending upon your schedule. I would say a minimum, again, of 10, 15 minutes. 20 minutes is good, and as long as you have the interest. Okay, James asks, how important is deep breathing during meditation? In other words, should we focus on breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth? Now, again, the meditation that we're doing here is really a meditation resting in awareness. Now, when you sit down and start, I would say focusing on the breath is more a technique of concentration rather than awareness. And it may be valuable as you start, if that helps you relax and that helps you center. I would try that for a few minutes, but that's not the object. We're not meditating because we want to become masters of the breath. We're meditating because we're interested in who we really are and what our authentic self is, which, at least for purposes of this hour, we called awareness. Okay, Retta mentions, as a yoga teacher trainer, I would like for you to advocate an asana practice and or a pranayama practice prior to meditating as a way to calm the nervous system of the body. And Ruddy, you're right on. That in essence was the answer that I gave to the prior questioner. Is that in fact the way I started meditating was in my first year of law school at Boston University. On Friday afternoon, they had a yoga class in the general college, and a buddy of mine said, "Hey, want to relax? Take a yoga class." And I started doing yoga, and after doing yoga for a few months, it was a great class. I naturally became interested in meditation. So yoga is a excellent way to and asana by the means the physical posture. And as Retta will tell you, yoga is not calisthenics or exercise. Yoga is linking awareness with particular bodily sensations that come up during the asana. Pranayama is a breath technique. They're both relaxing. They're both beneficial. I would say that they're beneficial as a means of relaxation and also calming the nervous system, which helps in meditation, but they're not ends in and of itself. So I think that is the last question. Thank you all very much.
We have one more. I'm sorry. We have we had Fabian, who actually just left. Let's see. Oh, there he is. Yes. So maybe we can allow him to talk here.
Sure.
Are you there, Fabian? Maybe you can hit unmute on your mic there.
I'm here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Fabian. Would you like us to see you?
I was a little comfortable. I actually stayed home to do this CLE. I wanted to be focused. I do have a meditation practice myself, and I have my own practice. So I called my law partner. I said, "Hey, listen, I'll be in after lunch." She doesn't have a meditation practice herself, but she does appreciate my practice, and so I said, I'll work from home in the morning, do this wonderful CLE, and then I'll see you back at the office after lunch. So I'm a little bit more of a casual setting, so I'm just going to speak via mic if that's okay.
That's fine. That's perfectly okay.
Wonderful. First of all, I wanted to thank you for this. I think it's a very important for humans in general, but I think as attorneys we have a very stressful career as much as we can control that. And I think that this is a very important practice, and I appreciate. I'm in Florida, and the Florida Bar has done a good push as well for mental health, and it's just something that I've had in my life for a while. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
And I don't want to take up too much time, so I appreciate it, and I will probably contact you to discuss a few other things. My main question was actually taking off from the first question. I believe my colleague's name was Donna that asked, when you have the feelings of things to do lately, and not just because of the new year, but I'd say within the last few months, I constantly, as attorneys, we all are nonstop moving, head of household, so you have the balance of work and the home. So my question was sort of along those lines. For me, it's more of a thought where I wake up in the morning, I like to meditate in the morning to start the day off, but then I start getting these anxieties of I need to go, I have so much to do, I need to bill, I have to be at court, I have, so my question is essentially that, how do you, and I've really just put it on myself, I think, to take time out to pause and say, these 10, 15, 20 minutes are going to propel you throughout the day to get to another level of efficiency and accomplishing what you really need to do. So how do you personally calm those thoughts, calm yourself down to say, I need to sit down and really just take the time to make sure my well-being is taken care of?
I think what's helpful, maybe helpful, is to notice the feedback loop between sensation and thought. Because you first talked about your thoughts that, hey, well, I have to do this and I have to do that and we have to do that, and the anxiety about them. Now, anxiety is more of a physical sensation. Like we can say fear is a contraction, or anger is, you feel, your body feels like ants are crawling all over. These are bodily sensations. And there's often a feedback loop that occurs where you have a thought that can be anxiety producing, or man, I got to get this brief out tomorrow, but I have this hearing today, and how am I going to do it? That's a thought. But at the same time, that can provoke a bodily sensation of contraction, that contraction or movement of energy that we find unpleasant, that we call anxiety. And that feedback loop also occurs in the opposite direction, is that we can have an unpleasant sensation in the body and it triggers a thought. Well, you know, this person said this to me, or I got to do this, or why didn't this happen? So I think the first thing that may be helpful for you is to look to see that those two appearances are separate. There's a thought and there's a bodily sensation. And how are they experienced individually, but not as some sort of conglomerate that's merged? The thought in and of itself, without some juice to it, some emotional juice to it, is just a thought. It's just insubstantial. The bodily sensation in and of itself is just movement of energy. It has no, in and of itself, it has no message. But when we combine the two of them, it's, I'm anxious about this. So in your practice, I would suggest that you take a look at that and kind of dissect it a little bit. And I like the analogy of a scientist and saying, we have this thought, we have this sensation, I'm labeling it as anxiety. What is it? What is it really? I think that's a good place to start.
Wonderful, thank you.
You're very welcome. And I congratulate you for being a good influence among the other lawyers in your practice.
Sure, I actually invited my associate as well as my paralegal if they wanted to join in. My associate is also very big on meditation. My paralegal as well. We were just very busy, so I told them I'd fill them in on what I learned today. But yes, we try to incorporate it as much as possible.
That's great. That's great.
I had one follow-up question. I don't know if you have any time. If not, I can send you an email.
No, go ahead. So
my other question is, you were talking about, when we're talking about projecting to the future and the past, I know that that's where, I'm very big on psychology as well, so I do a lot of reading. That was my major in undergrad. And so, when we're talking about projecting for the future, and that's where you essentially can create some, I'll call it anxieties again. And then when you're thinking about the past, that's where kind of depression may grow from, or those sort of sentiments. So my question was, how do you differ setting goals for yourself, as type A's as we are? We want to be successful. We want to continue to advance and grow in life, in both, our careers as well as personal life. So how do you separate between goal setting and entering into that projecting to the future? And then if your goals are maybe, met early, obviously we have the endorphin rush, we're happy, we're taking care of what we need to do. But if they get extended sometimes by situations or effects or means that are beyond our control, is there a way to distinguish that? And also on the other end, as it relates to thinking of the past, distinguishing between dwelling in the past to enjoying the memories that we've had, and then using that in a positive way to move forward.
Right. I used the phrase emotional juice before, and it kind of plays into this answer as well. Is that, and personally, I've never been a goal person, but you have to have planning for the future. If you're going to take a vacation, you have to arrange who's going to cover your office, and look at the airfares and buy tickets and stuff like that. If you have a trial, you have to prepare for the trial and take your depositions and do your discovery and interview witnesses and get your trial book together and stuff like that. I mean, in this plane, you have to plan to do things. Now, and I would look and see from where is the goal setting or planning generated? Is it generated from a place of fear, or is it more just a practical non-detached decision making? Now, when I started practicing law, I started in a small firm, and I basically got no instruction from the head attorney. He just put a whole bunch of files on my desk and said, go for it. And I was saved many times by colleagues that I was litigating against, and also the secretary in the office who knew much more than I did. But when a lot of that early work as a trial, when I was preparing for trial and something like that, was fear oriented. Like, boy, if I don't do this, you know, I'm gonna look like I don't know what I'm doing in court, or I'm gonna lose the case, or I'm gonna get the reputation of being a bad lawyer or a sloppy lawyer, or something like that. And so when the planning or the setting of goals germinates from an area of fear or insecurity, then that's going to cause anxiety in the future. If my goal isn't met, well, you know, bad things are going to happen. But when the planning and making of goals originates from a more impersonal space. Well, I have this trial and I have to do this and this. I have this much time. I'll do the best I can. I'll work as hard as I can to get the best result I can, but my life isn't going to be destroyed if I lose. You win some, you lose some. We try to do our best. We try to do the best job. You know, you may have a goal that I want to save this much money because my family needs, you know, a bigger house. Now, if you're doing that from a space of, wow, this would be a great thing, we'll all be happy there, the kids will have more places to go and roam, that's one thing. If you're saying I'm saving money to get a bigger house, but if I don't get it, you know, my wife's going to think I'm a failure, and, you know, that's going to be horrible, then every task that you do along the way is going to be infiltrated with that fear or anxiety. So I think it's important in whatever you're doing, whether it's planning, goal setting, is to look at where you are from the inception of that. And if you find that this goal is being generated by fear, then I would then that's a place for more exploration.
Wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Okay. Well, guys, it's been a lot of fun. And again, I appreciate you all attending. And please, if you have any feedback on this, please send it to the, you can email me with your comments or post them on the website. That helps us to make this better and